So Kevin, thanks very much for taking time to speak to us today.
My pleasure.
First question, your expectations for the COP?
My expectations are that we will come up with some deal, that there will be lots of slapping of each other's backs and hugging and how successful we've been, but when actually we look at the detail, when we unpick the numbers, what we will actually discover is that we are heading towards levels of carbon dioxide emissions that are much more in line with the 3 or 4 degrees C temperature rise by the end of the century. There will be some discussion that this is a step in the right direction and that we need to review these later on, but my suspicion is that if that's what we get at the end of COP, then we will have put another nail in the coffin of 2 degrees centigrade.
So what would be your demands for the COP?
My demands would be for the leaders in negotiation to abide by what they've repeatedly signed up to, at least since Copenhagen, which is to stay below 2 degrees centigrade, to base their policies, at least make sure they are consistent with science and are developed on the basis of equity. That's what we have repeatedly signed up to. So all I'm expecting from the leaders is to abide by what they've said repeatedly that they were going to do. Is that much of a request? I would rather them be honest and candid.
And last question, your message to all the people out there following the COP?
It is highly unlikely, let's hope I'm wrong, but it is highly unlikely that COP will deliver anything like what is necessary for 2 degrees C temperature rise, bearing in mind that 2 degrees C is already dangerous to deadly for many of the poorer people in the climatically vulnerable parts of the world. So what we have to think about after Paris is that that is not the end game, it is not the end of the story. We need to put increasing amounts of pressure on our leaders, on our companies, on ourselves, on our civil society, on all of our organisations, on society in general, to make the necessary changes as rapidly as possible to keep the temperature rise as near to 2 degrees C as we possibly can.
Kevin, thanks very much for taking time to speak to us.
My pleasure.
Cheers.